Hello, I'm Doug Muzzio. This is City Talk. There are nearly 3,000 of them, the most since Vietnam. They are spread across CUNY's 23 campuses. They are men and women of all races from all over. Some have difficulty adjusting, needing special assistance. Some are among the university's best students. They are the veterans at CUNY. To talk about military vets at CUNY are two vets and the university's assistant coordinator for Veterans Affairs, Stephen Clark. Mr. Clark has a BA and MA from City College. Stephen worked in student affairs at CUNY in the Office of Disabilities before his current position. His father served in the United States Army. Don Gomez is a student at City College in International Studies with a concentration in the Middle East. He grew up in Queens. This is one of the reasons why I love him. And he joined the Army in 2001. As a paratrooper, Don served in Iraq in 2003 and again in 2005. He has been named a Colin Powell Scholar and is the recipient of a City College Scholarship for veterans of the Afghan and Iraqi wars. Omi Aguirre is a student at Hostos Community College. She served 4 years active duty as a Marine and then in the reserves. She is married to a Marine currently stationed in California. Welcome, all of you. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Omi, for your service to all of us. And thank you, Stephen, for your service to people like them. Let me turn to you first. How many veterans are students, and are we really experiencing a huge influx of veterans into the system?
Well, Doug, as of the conclusion of the fall 2009 semester, the estimate is that we have approximately 2,800 student veterans, also Guard and reservists, and family members who take advantage of tuition assistance programs to be enrolled at the university. With
more folks coming home from Iraq, wouldn't you expect, does the university expect this number to increase and perhaps increase dramatically?
Well, a good indicator is that we witnessed a 55% increase in enrollment from last year to the first semester this year. So if that trend continues, and we expect it may, due to the number of personnel who serve from the New York City area, of course we're going to see an increased enrollment.
Okay. Omi and Don, why did you join the military in the first place? Why? Where were you, and how did you get into the military? Go ahead.
Well, I was actually going to Hostos Community College. I was working as a community liaison for an assemblywoman at the time that September 11th happened. When it happened, it was a personal event for my family and my father. A little bit afterwards, I went ahead and enlisted into the Marine Corps. I ended up leaving Hostos Community College to go do active duty.
Okay.
And I basically came back after a year after I was out of the active duty side, and I came back to school.
So that's 4 or 5 years later.
Yes, it is.
Big gap of time.
Oh, yes, very big gap of time. I noticed when we got back, though, all we had was a certifying official at the time as a veteran, and not much there for us as veterans, which I ended up going ahead and joining the reserve side, and I left again out of Hostos Community College to go do some more military time and military training. Then I ended up coming back in about 2009.
Wow.
By then, I was out for a few months. I missed a semester. Came back the fall semester to find out we had a veterans office, so there was a step up.
Okay. Don, why join, and what did you find when you came to CUNY?
Well, I joined the Army in April of 2001, so before September 11th. I was going to Queensborough Community College. I was studying business administration, and it just wasn't what I wanted to do. I knew there was something missing, so I joined the military, joined the Army, out of the spirit of adventure, looking for something to do. And I went active duty for 5 years. Came out in 2006, did some community college in North Carolina, then transferred to City College in the fall of 2007, And what I also found at City College was there wasn't really an awareness that there were veterans on campus. There was no Office of Veterans Affairs, and there was no student veteran club. So it was a little overwhelming to enter school and not have anybody really be aware that there are veterans coming back from these wars entering the CUNY system.
What are the services that are currently available to veterans through CUNY, either centrally or through their campuses?
Well, let me begin that the Central Office for Veteran Affairs is responsible for the overall coordination, recruitment, retention, and program and service development throughout the university. We've partnered with a number of folks outside the community, both in the federal, state, and local level. And let me take this opportunity to say that it is true that there were limited services for some time. However, with the support and continued support from our senior management, our interim vice chancellor, Peter Jordan, the senior dean for
Plugs are fine, go ahead.
Robert Tatchett, the Vietnam veteran, and Dr. Christopher Rosa helped support the university coordinator Wilfred Cotto and myself in developing these programs and services.
Okay, and we'll talk about what's on tap as well as, you know, what is already there. So you come back to CUNY, and what do you feel when you come back? What's your personal experience of, in a sense, transitioning out of the military and civilian life? And what about your colleagues and peers are doing the same thing?
Well, I noticed when I came back, it was really hard doing the transition, and we're still working on the transition for some of us. Coming back, you come back to a life, to a city that's moving, flowing, not a lot of order, seems a little more chaotic. So you tend to want to stick to yourself. And I know one thing us veterans are used to is basically camouflaging into our background.
Wow.
And we end up doing that, but you end up missing out on a lot because you're not as proactive. You tend to want to stay to yourself. You don't think people can understand you. And you see this a lot when you meet other vets. You spot them in the hallway, you ask them, they're kind of reluctant. Then when they start talking, they'll open up to you, but they're not going to do this with everybody else. The transition is pretty hard. It's something that not a lot of people, I believe, are ready for. And it's going to come in a mass amount because of the fact of, you know, we were discussing manpower is filled up in the military. So there's going to be a lot of people coming out of the military that may not want to come out.
Budget cuts, all kinds of things.
Yes, and you have that person coming into a world where they weren't really choosing. The MGI bill is going to basically point them towards school to try to get them a focus, but now they go into an environment where you have opinions, you have people that are not going to agree with what you did in your military experience. You're going to have some people question your military experience. And some of us are not really ready to divulge that, even with our family members, let alone a person you meet in class or a professor you meet in class. So it's a pretty hard transition for us.
Don.
Yeah, the big key with the transition, I think, is age. When I started at City College, I was 24 years old. And at the time, that wasn't such a big deal. There's a lot of older students at City College, but when I started, I thought that I'm going to be the oldest guy in the classroom. I found that that wasn't the case. What's interesting about the transition is that for me, it's still happening. It's still going on. I'm going to be 28 this week. And only now am I kind of feeling my age on campus, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing the freshman class come in, some of them are 17, 18 years old, who were in elementary school when I was in Iraq. And it's a strange thing to have to deal with, but that's the nature of being a veteran on campus.
Now, Omi talked about people's reactions to you as a vet, not to you as a person. Was there, I mean, I grew up in the Vietnam era, and there was a lot of bitterness, hard feeling. Is it that, or is it, in this case, with these wars, just an unfamiliarity?
I think I expected, when I came out of the military, I expected to find people protesting the war and not liking me because I'm a veteran. And I didn't find any of that. I didn't find it at all. I still haven't found it. And that's a relief, because the war and the person that goes to war are two different things. Yes. What I do find, though, is that it's hard to sometimes think through this stuff. In classes, if you're taking classes on the Iraq War, it becomes a strange issue for the veteran. Do you want to identify yourself as somebody that has been there? And some people do, and some people don't. And I know I've done it a couple of times. I'm studying the Middle East, so Iraq comes up. And when I raise my hand, it's a strange feeling to have everybody's head. You know, anybody here been to Iraq? And then I raise my hand. And then everyone looks and, oh, I didn't know we had veterans here. One other thing, though, that's hard to deal with is I was in a political science class, and the professor just asked off cuff, do you know how many soldiers have been killed in Iraq? And there was a girl who was probably 18, 19 years old. She said, I don't know, something like 30. And this is last year when the number was well over 4,000 service members killed. And that was like the first time I was in class and felt really taken aback by how much people don't know about what's going on right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Omi, is there a difference, both of you, is there a difference in the experience of women and the experience of men as service people, number one, but more germane to this discussion, in terms of being vets and being vets in a university environment?
I would say, as a female, there is a big difference. One, the military world, no matter how many people want to paint equality, it is a man's world, and all it takes is looking at statistics. The Marine Corps, only 10% is female. And it's a fight in there to get recognition, to get respect with your counterparts, because, you know, there's differences physically between us. But you go through that, you fight through that, and you get to a standard where you are somewhat equal to your male counterpart. Then you come out here, women are seen differently, are expected to do things differently. And myself, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm having to cope with the fact of what we would call civilian life. I'm used to giving orders and whatnot. Now I gotta sit on the sidelines. And part of that, I would say a lot of females would feel a little more out of place, because we try so hard to make sure we were in the mode of military, that when you come out, it's a different world. So you're a little more reluctant, especially some come out as single mothers, some come out as mothers, and now you're picking up your life. You have to go to school as a mom. Everybody knows that's hard to begin with, whether you were in the military or not, but now you're also going through trying to get over, if you went to Iraq or Afghanistan, whatever you may bring with that, trying to get over transitioning the military lifestyle, and now you're bringing your family with you. And they're going to have to endure what you're enduring and where you're trying to go. So is it difficult? I would say yes. Do I think, you know, hopefully with more services and more outreach and community becoming more aware of what's going to go on in their community, I think it will be easier than what Vietnam went through.
Okay. Don, you want to add?
I don't feel qualified to add much about women veterans.
No, not about women. But I mean, in terms of the transition, the effect on vets, and maybe are there differences among vets, irrespective of gender, for example? Yeah,
there's the big thing that I think it's hard enough to understand the veteran community as it is, but if you ever go to a student veteran club meeting, what you'll find is people that were in the Army, people that were in the Navy, people that were in the Marine Corps, in the Air Force, and all of these are separate cultures. Within those cultures, there's more cultures. What did you do in the Army? Did you work in an office? Were you out in the field? Did you serve overseas? And so there's all these different levels of service members that only that veteran community understands it in itself. And they bring with them all of the stuff that they learned from the military, And that all gets worked out in the Student Veteran Club meetings and on campus. And it's funny, it's interesting to watch, but it's also a challenge in trying to herd all these different types of people to meetings or to different resources to get the help they need.
Is there a reluctance among vets to participate in these discussions, to join these clubs, to be serviced by the university in its formal capacity?
It depends on the veteran. One of the things, the short answer is yes, but it depends. Some veterans, a lot of people come out of the military and they're very, very focused on their education. They've got their GI Bill, they want to get their degree, and they want to go on. They're already, in their mind, they're already behind the curve because they're 25, 26, starting college. They want to get their education and go. They don't necessarily want to go to the club meeting, which might be inconvenient for them. But what I found is when they do, they tend to enjoy it and they stay. So it's that getting them in the room the first time that's difficult.
How do you get them in the room?
Well, sometimes you have to use a very forward approach. You can sometimes tell a veteran from, they'll wear a piece of article that you know was issued when they were in. They'll have some recollection on their body that will identify them. And my approach is very forward. It's like, you're a vet, you know we have a club. No, you should come. And I'll hunt you down for the rest of the school semester. Because
this is part of your military training,
yes,
obviously.
And part of it is, too, is that I was a reluctant vet. And what happened with me was the reluctance and then coming back to an environment that I felt wasn't, you know, conducive or receptive of the service and the time that I'm putting in for my country. I wanted to keep just going back to the military. And there's two sides of that. You have the veteran who's going to go to school and want to get this education because they have a way of doing it now. Then you're going to have the veteran who always keeps the military on the back burner. As, if I really don't like life out here, I'll just go back in, whether they loved it or not. I've actually met vets where they go, I don't want to do this. I think I'm going to go back. And you know, you have to combat them with, you know, one other thing they have a problem with is asking for help. We are taught in the military, you do not show weakness. Weakness is not allowed. If you are a leader, especially when you get up to NCO or non-commissioned officer.
Which you both were. You were both sergeants.
You do not show a sign of weakness in front of troops, in front of your subordinates. Now, you have these people that are coming out. In 4 years, a lot of these guys are going to be non-commissioned officers. They're going to come out into a world where, from a world that tells them, hey, be strong, try to, you know, basically our saying is suck it up. And then now you're coming out here and you know you may need help, but that pride is there. And there's where the reluctance comes from. If I show up to the veteran services, am I asking for help? Then some of them want to become NYPD, FDNY, and they get worried about, if I start getting services or I start going to counseling, is this a record that's going to be held against me because of what I went through? And so they're very reluctant there, because once they start making that contact, whether with a counselor or a fellow vet, we have the right as fellow vets to see a vet who may be going through a very serious problem, and we have to say something. It would be the right thing to do. And they're very scared of showing that world, so they try to stick to themselves.
Okay, okay. Stephen, the CUNY system has been selected as a military-friendly university. How, in fact, is CUNY University friendly, and how could it be even more friendly to vets?
Well, on a couple of fronts, Doug. We do an outreach piece that touches the veteran of today and those who are, you know, ready to separate from military service through our webpage. We continuously get inquiries from those serving who are due to separate and are overseas. They know that CUNY is there. They know that they have programs and services. And as a result, we offer admission services programs to have veterans come in and discuss the admissions process, where the programs are on the campuses that they're interested in, what they need to do to apply, what they need to do to submit their information to receive Veterans Affairs benefits. In addition, we host a monthly CUNY liaison meeting which is a continual professional development piece that helps us disseminate information to those persons on campuses who work in financial aid, the registrar and the bursar. And we understand that the transition piece is a very important piece with our veterans returning. And as a result, we did a concerted legislative lobbying campaign to add on full-time and part-time dedicated Veterans Affairs staffers. And to do that, we went up to Albany and as a result garnered $1.25 million to be distributed around the university to have full-time and part-time Veteran Affairs representatives in place, with also the assistance of student veterans who are already in the campus, and they are mentors to those coming in.
That's what I want to touch on. What about the individual campuses? I mean, we've got 23 campuses. We've got vets in all of them. Who are the personnel and what are the services available to students within the system? I'm sure there are differences in the various units, but generally, what's there?
Sure, even before the veteran gets to the campus, we do an annual outreach piece with a college fair for veterans, where professional staff come together and they discuss these issues with the veteran, actually before they become a veteran, and that way they make an informed choice of where they will be, be studying. But on the campuses, they're at different stages in the program development. What we do is we like to have a space dedicated for veterans to convene and come together and meet and discuss the issues that Omi and Don have been mentioning here. And we also do professional development pieces for our liaison people, and that in turn translates into better services for our student veterans.
Okay. I just named you Chancellor, and I named you Chancellor. What do you see as the gaps, looking at it from a consumer's end? What do you see in the gaps in veteran services writ large, and what might be some of your recommendations?
Well, what I see at City College, and that's my experience, is that veterans issues, for the most part, it's the hobby of really interested people. It's something that people in the administration do as a side job. They take it on because they care. And it's actually gotten a lot done. We're very proud of the stuff that we have at City College, our new Office of Veterans Affairs. But what is missing from this is something from Big CUNY saying, look, 2010.
This is you, Big CUNY.
Well, this is bigger.
Oh, this is bigger than you.
This is bigger.
Sorry.
Is saying, look, we recognize that veterans are coming to CUNY. They're choosing CUNY because it's not only a good school, a good university system, but we're going to get paid to go to school with the new GI Bill. If I was Chancellor, I would say we're going to make this the year of the veteran, and we're going to roll out initiatives and make things perfect.
Well, that's not going to happen. What are the initiatives?
Well, I think that you could start by having full-time coordinators at each college that would be in charge of an Office of Veterans Affairs that can address the needs of the student veteran population. So a veteran at City College or Brooklyn or Queens goes to the Office of Veterans Affairs, and any issue that he or she has can be addressed through that office, and it needs a full-time position.
Okay. Omi.
If I was the Chancellor, I would actually, looking at Hostos Community College, which is a college that basically picked up and started running with their programs only a year and a half ago. I would look at, one, was the great thing of the MGI Bill, Chapter 33, but people were not prepared to what happened in the very first semester, and that was a backlog. We had vets that were paying for school up front. We had vets coming out of their pockets for books. These guys were waiting 3 to 4 months for payment from the Veterans Affairs, and our school didn't have the funding to help them out. So I would want to put in place emergency funding for schools to be able to use, where they can go ahead and maybe make a food voucher program for vets. Because one thing I heard from the vets in our veteran club was, it's the basic essentials that can help us concentrate. If I could get a meal a day and I knew my way to school and back was taken care of, I wouldn't worry about it.
So vets have needs at this most fundamental level here in terms of food, transportation, etc.
Yes. And it's seen. Now the other thing is we have a great counseling center in our school, but we have one PTSD counselor, which means we have maybe 1 or 2 counselors.
Explain what those letters mean.
PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. And a lot of people want to assume, it's only going to happen in combat. What you call culture shock for a vet who's never been to combat but just been in the military world. That change can bring on a traumatic situation for them. Also, let alone the guys that did go to Iraq, the females and males that did go to Iraq. They're going to try to concentrate on school and try to ignore some issues they may have. We need more training. People need to be more aware of the vet coming into their school.
Okay. Stephen, you've got the last word in the last minute. What do you see that the university needs to do, and what can you do?
Well, I'm happy to hear Don's comments, and in fact, we are engaging in having personnel on campuses to do the work that both Omi and Don are speaking to. We're going to continue to do that. This is a line item that's in the university's budget, so those developments will continue to grow, those offices will grow, and services will be enhanced as our student veteran population grows. Good.
I just want to thank you too for your service, and I want to thank you for serving them and urge you and the university to do even more. I thank all of you.
Thank you.
See you next week. Hello, I'm Doug Muzzio. Let us know what you think about this show. You can reach us at CUNY.TV. When you get there, click on the bar that says Contact Us and send your email. Whatever it is. Thanks, no thanks, obnoxious, do it. Send it.